Hi, I'm Dustin Abbott, and I'm here today to give you my standard review of the Sony FE24mm F1.4 G Master lens, a lens that I've gotten a lot of requests to review from many of you in the audience, and of course, now that I've spent time with it, as many of you expected, there's a reason why you wanted me to look at it. This really is a fantastic lens on a lot of levels. Now, if you want the nitty-gritty, all the details, a breakdown, a severe breakdown of image quality and all of that, I recommend that you take a look at the definitive review. It's going to give you all of those details, and it's particularly useful if you want to make an informed buying decision. If you're more casually interested or you don't have a long attention span, this is the review for you. So one of the things that I really like about the 24mm G Master lens is the actual form factor. I've reviewed a number of the G Master lenses at this point, and one of the things that I can't often accuse them of being is compact. They're often amongst the largest lenses in their category when compared to other similar lenses. And so thankfully that's not the case here. And I really think that this is a really attractive form factor. I would love for them to release a 35mm G Master lens that's somewhere in this ballpark, if possible, in terms of size. I think that could be a tremendously useful and popular lens. That being said, however, they've managed to strike a nice balance between the the size and weight. You can see it's not a particularly long lens, and so it's roughly about an inch longer than what, say, the Tamron 24mm f2.8 is, and so not a huge difference, particularly when you consider that this has a two-stop faster maximum aperture. It's also shorter than what the Sigma 24mm f1.4 Art Series lens in FE form is, and while it's heavier than the Tamron, it's significantly lighter than what the Sigma is. The Sigma in its FE guise, a lot of times you see the wrong weight listed, but it's actually in FE form, or E form, it is over 700 grams. And so this G Master lens is actually a good 50% lighter. And so that's obviously a very positive factor, particularly when you consider the fact it's got a very durable build with weather sealing, gasket, a fluorine coating on the front, internal seals, and so, and then a very durable exterior, along with being feature rich. Like other G Master lenses, it has a hybrid approach to aperture. You can either choose to put it into automatic mode if you go all the way to the left to where the camera controls it, or you control from within camera, or if you like to use a manual aperturing, guilty, you have an option of either going in 1/3 stop detents, or if you're more video centric, or if you just like a declicked aperture, there is a switch on the right side of the barrel, bottom right, that allows you to declick the aperture, and so you can smoothly rack in between aperture choices there. Now do note that you're not going to see that if the camera is not on. Similar kind of truth here when it comes to the manual focus ring. This is, as are all truly made for mirrorless lenses, it is focused by wire, which means that focus or input on the focus ring is going to be routed through the focus motor. Fortunately, however, we do have a linear focus action here, and so you do have some repeatability in the focus ability, which is good. The damping is nice. There's some weight to it. It actually focuses quite well for a focus by wire type lens. And so I view that as being a positive as well. It comes with a nice case, comes with the lens hood that is kind of a felt flocking inside to keep light from bouncing around. And so all pluses there. Features are good. It does have the focus hold button that you can program to a variety of functions, along with an AF/MF switch. On the note of the autofocus, this uses I believe it's called DDSSM focus motor that is actually similar to what's used in a lens like the 200 to 600mm G lens. And it's a great focus motor. It's very fast, very quiet. I did find one situation where I heard some kind of very, very faint and very high-pitched noise while doing some kind of continually focusing. I was actually reviewing a product and doing kind of some work like this, and so I heard a little bit of noise in that footage in a very quiet environment using just onboard microphone, because I wasn't really using it I wasn't really filming for audio. It's just I happened to hear that when I was reviewing the footage. In many situations, I don't think you'll ever hear that. In fact, if we take a look at my more standard focus pulls, I don't really hear much of anything. Let's take a look. So I think you'll agree with me that there's nothing off-putting about that. Focus is smooth and quiet. Now, the only limitation that I saw ever in real-world shooting was that there was a couple of times that it was like kind of a landscape aperture and landscape distance, and it was a backlit scene with the sun coming through, and I found that I got some pulsing back and forth in at least one situation, as you can see here, where the camera didn't really lock focus, and so I had to go back and kind of select a smaller amount of focus, kind of get it to focus in the right place, and it achieved the right focus, as you can see from this shot. But that was really the exception to the rule. All the basic things, IAF, the hybrid AF approach, it all works really well, as you would expect from one of their premium lenses here. In fact, when it comes to GM lenses, this is definitely a better option than what some of them are, say the 85mm f1.4, or while it's not a GM, the Sony's 50mm f1.4 planar lens, 35mm Distagon. This actually focuses better than any of those lenses. And so I give it, overall, I give it really good marks for autofocus performance. Now, when it comes to the image quality, it's a very sharp lens. There is, as to be expected, it's sharper in the center than what it is at the periphery of the frame at wide apertures. It's acceptably sharp there for many situations. Now, when shooting like a landscape at infinity, I wasn't thrilled with the extreme corners. Most of the frame looked really good, but you could definitely see a drop off. You stop down to f2, and then particularly by f2.8, everything starts to sharpen up nicely. More traditional landscape apertures, f4, f5.6, super sharp, corner to corner, and no reservations there. Great contrast, great color rendition. I also found flare resistance to be, well, hello. I found flare resistance to be quite good as well. And say hello, Ferrari. Say goodbye, Ferrari. I found flare resistance to be quite good as well. There is going to be a little bit of veiling with it wide open. And as you can see video panning back and forth here, you see a little bit of ghosting wide open, stop down to f11, and then more traditional landscape apertures in between those two extremes. I actually found flare resistant to be very, very good. And even in this video panning at f11, you can see that there isn't a whole lot of negatives going on there. Now, when it comes to coma performance, it's pretty decent in the center of the frame at wide apertures. Along the edges, however, you can definitely see some coma. And whatever advantage there would be there for having that wider maximum aperture, I wouldn't buy it specifically for coma, because even at f2.8, I think a lens like the Sigma 14 to 24mm f2.8 art is actually better wide open at f2.8 than what the GM is stopped down to f2.8. So it's acceptable if you own the lens. Certainly use it for that, but don't buy it. Specifically with that in mind, there are better options for doing that. Bokeh quality is actually quite good, I found. Obviously, there's limitations to how much bokeh you're going to produce with a 24mm lens in many situations. However, the quality of the blur is nice. It has an 11-bladed aperture, and so that not only produces nice round bokeh circles, even when stopped down, as you can see, but it actually produces surprisingly nice sunburst effect either, with a 22-pointed sun star that has a certain amount of charm, I think. All told, this is a very, very good lens optically. Not a lot of distortion, very little vignette, no glaring optical flaw to point at. And so at the end of the day, it's a very attractive package. Now, it's still expensive, as G Master lenses tend to be, but at $1,399, while in an absolute sense that is expensive, comparatively to the G Master series, this is the cheapest of the options that I'm aware of, and it feels like fairly strong value for money. If you are someone that's going to be shooting portraits, shooting events, and you want a wide-angle, wide-aperture lens, this is probably the lens to get. Compared to like the Sigma 24mm f1.4 art, that lens was not designed for Sony originally, and it tells. I did a review of that, and there are aspects where it tells. It's also one of the earlier Art Series lenses. The Art Series has gotten better as Sigma has gone along, and I find that optically, the Art lens is not really in this class. Now, it is cheaper, and if you have a limited budget, it's still a lot of lens for $849, $850 bucks, but $1,400 for this. If you can save up that extra money, I'd go for the GM lens. It's the one to get at 24 millimeters. I'm Dustin Abbott. If you'll take a look in the description down below, I do have linkage there to my full written review. There's also linkage to the image gallery if you want to look at more photos, buying links if you'd like to purchase one for yourself. And there's also linkage there to support this channel, to follow me on social media, become a patron, sign up for my newsletter. And if you haven't already, please click that subscribe button right here on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.